Last ranking show of week 14, also the last regular season week of your fantasy football calendar. Here we go. Hayden, we use this as a game by game matchup preview show. I know I have a lot of notes in regards to that because dang, we got a lot of playoff implications on the weekend, including that Thursday night football contest. Here we go. Josh Allen is your quarterback one. This is against the Cincinnati Bengals in the 1 o'clock window. Bills projected for 29.5 points as a team that is coming off an 8-sack performance against the Houston Texans and just 123 passing yards last week. You can smell that the books really, really detest and hate this Bengals defense.
And they probably should. I think it's going to be a pretty run-heavy game plan. That's where Buffalo has kind of trended toward. Last week, it was like an 80% neutral run rate, which is absurd. Obviously, Josh Allen's going to be a part of that. There's going to be some snow and some obviously cold temperatures in this one, so we'll have to get the final injury report as we get closer there. But yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals just don't tackle, and the way that the Bills play, everything you got to tackle immediately because they don't really push the ball down the field. They don't have the receivers for it, so it's all about how much do the Bengals want to tackle because they're not going to be able to rush the passer very well. And then for Josh Allen, even though he's not creating a bunch of like passing numbers, his rushing numbers remains so strong that he's still the fantasy quarterback one on the season.
We'll talk about tight ends here in a moment. I don't know if you saw the Dalton Kincaid practice clip. I mean, hamstring injury, and then as he's coming back from that, it sounds like he has also injured his knee, and he basically had an offensive lineman's knee brace on.
It's so big.
So I'll be interested to see if he plays, how much he plays, all that type of stuff, because he has been kind of the catalyst for any type of successful downfield passing for this team.
Yeah, I think he's the most important skill guy on the team. Him and James Cook are those two guys are so important. And especially in this matchup, the Bengals are the worst defense against tight ends ever.
Yep.
It's insane. Like literally their fantasy wide receiver
second best tight end in fantasy scoring is whoever places the Cincinnati Bengals, only behind Trey McBride.
Yeah. And it's about even with Trey McBride. He would be it would be massive news if he can suit it up there. But it's always something with Kincaid, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and he doesn't even play the run blocking snaps. At home this season, Josh Allen averaged a league high 29.6 points per game, low mark of 19.4 fantasy points. So let's do it. Okay, your quarterback 2, Matthew Stafford. Hopefully a bounce back performance from him in terms of the turnover department. This is at the Arizona Cardinals. We know that this game is in the 4 o'clock window on Sunday on the road. Yes, in a dome. But the Rams here are projected for 28 points.
Yep.
That's very nice.
Very nice. Obviously, getting those goal line touchdowns to Devontae Adams to help him out there. Did run across this, though. The Cardinals held the Rams to 23 combined points last year in their 2 games against each other. Matthew Stafford did not have a touchdown. So, obviously, everyone with money on it does not think that is a trend that's going to continue. Of note, the Cardinals defensive line going through some injuries. Walter Nolan, first round defensive tackle, and then Josh Sweat, defensive end, their big prize free agent, both injured right now. They play some funky defenses on the back end, just a lot of zone looks, a third safety. But hopefully, I'm sure that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford have a lot more answers to the test with an offseason to prepare after last year.
Yeah, Jordan Rodriguez on NFL Daily had mentioned quite a bit heading into last week that there's been laser focus from Matthew Stafford to hit that 28 straight touchdown passes before throwing an interception. And he did hit that last week. And it seemed like then the concentration just left his brain. And that's when he started throwing these interceptions. You can't do that against Budda Baker as well. So he's going to recognize where Budda Baker is and then throw him the opposite direction.
Yeah, seems smart.
Okay, Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback 3 this week. Again, this does not include Thursday Night Football. It does not include Dak Prescott and Jared Goff and all of these guys. So Patrick Mahomes, 3 backup offensive linemen in front of him, including potentially Wanya Morris, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's not great.
And now he gets, Danielle Hunter. He gets Will Anderson. He gets the rotation on the interior for the Houston Texans. We have seen them demolish the likes of Josh Allen in the past. And we'll see what happens here for this Patrick Mahomes passing game, which can have a ceiling on it from week to week.
Sure. Yeah. Mahomes is the quarterback 2 in fantasy. There's only 3 quarterbacks above 21 fantasy points per game in their starts. The third is actually Jackson Dart, who's on bye this week. So even in the bad matchup, you can only move Patrick Mahomes down so far. Now, this one's going to be crucial. The Texans are interesting defensively because they don't really do anything schematically that's all that interesting. They just know they have the horses to win the race, and that's especially true against the Chiefs wide receivers who just like straight up cannot beat man coverage. And then also these backup offensive tackles are going to be going up against the best pass rushing duo in the NFL. So everything's going to be about Mahomes getting the ball out quickly and then taking his chances down the field. He's only going to have a couple chances to do so, and hopefully these start to hit. I mean, it's about league average when he's throwing the ball down the field this year, which is super frustrating. But Mahomes, when he's pressured around, he'll scramble a little bit more, which is good for fantasy. But there is so much pressure on him to get this one right. It'll be like about 26 degrees on Sunday Night Football as well. So hopefully we get yards after the catch stuff from Travis Kelce. I think he's going to be the big guy because remember they played each other early this January, and Kelce went absolutely crazy. And like that was the reason why they won. And that makes sense to me. Some zone coverage over the middle. You're avoiding those corners. Let Travis Kelce be the guy. So they're going to have to get the ball out quickly here to move the ball.
I know that they don't change as much of what they do on a week-to-week basis. I do wonder in like this must-win game kind of for both in order to continue their playoff trajectory here. I mean, the Texans have won 4 straight games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I do wonder if D'Amico Ryan throws some interesting things at Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and company. Mahomes has been great this season. He's
so good still.
It's just the rest of the offense and then winning 1-score games when you were undefeated in those last year has not happened so far this season. So it is one of those that, there's been a lot of negativity this week and pessimism, I would say. And a lot of it, I believe, is warranted from where the win-loss column is for Mahomes and company. But typically these are like Andy Reid performances that he pulls something out. You do wonder if this is kind of the start of that the rest of the season for a Chiefs team that really needs to kind of win out the rest of the way.
Last note, Kamari Lassiter foot injury hasn't practiced this week. That's their CB2. So maybe like that's like one of these little tiny things that kind of break in the Chiefs direction. But the Texans way healthier than the Chiefs are in general right now. So everything's about Mahomes having an MVP type of performance.
Okay. Frustration with the Chiefs. Also frustration with the Philadelphia Eagles offense. They are projected for the lowest total of their season heading into a game this week against the Los Angeles Chargers Monday Night Football, a team total of just 22 points. If we're talking about Jalen Hurts as an individual here, he has not scored in the top 12 in 3 of the last 4 games among quarterbacks. He ranks 32nd in rate of throws between the numbers this season. There's a lot more to dive into here. What are you expecting for this Eagles offense against Jesse Minter and the Chargers?
So the Chargers defense, it's almost entirely zone coverage. They like just kind of disguise things after the snap. They're not really going to blitz or anything crazy like that. The problem is the Eagles defense historically against zone coverage is kind of where they can run into some like really dry spots. So we're not going to fix the offensive line overnight. I doubt we're going to fix some of the schematic problems that we've seen with the Eagles, both in the ground game and then obviously kind of like lining things up in the pass game. We have talked about this though before. The Chargers defense is well coached, but they don't have like elite talent at cornerback right now. And like, that's how the Eagles are gonna have to move the ball, just dunk on these corners if they can. But this is like typically that's the style defense that the Eagles have had some issues with. But the Chargers offense is so banged up right now that this should be a game where they need to win this one. Like if they're going to be serious, like this is the type of game where you should be able to beat the Chargers. But that's going to require, I think, some explosives through the air because that's more or less the only way they've been able to move the football this entire season.
Yeah. When we talk about explosives in the air, a lot of that is single high stuff and man coverage against AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. The Chargers have utilized man coverage at the league's lowest rate at 14% right now.
Yeah.
Only 2 quarterbacks, according to Retrievar's worksheet, have 2+ touchdowns, passing touchdowns, I should say, against this Chargers defense. So that means all the others, just 1 or fewer passing scores.
There was one other thing I wanted to note. This is NFL wide. The amount of quarterback designed runs is significantly down this year than where it was the last 4 or 5 years. I haven't like studied enough detail to see if there's something about defenses that they're handling this, but Jalen Hurts is like a perfect example of that. His quarterback design runs, once you remove the screens or the sneaks, just non-existent. And that's super effective. Like to me, if I was Patullo and these guys, like we got to get Jalen Hurts going because he's extremely effective in like the quarterback power zone read element. We just don't really see that from the Eagles anymore. And like, to me, this would be a perfect opportunity. We've seen the Chargers get beat off the edge on the ground game. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that with Saquon Barkley as much, but like, let's get Jalen Hurts utilizing his legs a lot more, because that's like a kind of break glass in case of emergency. And they just have not done that this year yet.
It's the only reason they won that first game of the season was him scrambling and picking up yards with his feet. To me, the Chargers' goal should be to force the Eagles into 14, 13, 12 play drives that then forces the Eagles to convert on third downs, which they're among the worst in the league at, and also have like some semblance of a rushing attack, which has been a struggle. So like force them into 3rd and 8s and 3rd and 7s, which every other defense has done so this season.
And penalties for the Eagles, man, just kills these drives.
Lamar Jackson is your quarterback 5. We haven't seen this team in quite some time. That was Thanksgiving Day last week. Now it's against the Pittsburgh Steelers. These teams are tied in the AFC North right now. So this will go down as a major turning point moment for the rest of the season for that division.
It just really comes down to the health of Lamar, and he's now not practicing with an ankle injury. They say he's going to be fine, but that's a new injury. I went back and watched like the last couple plays for Lamar Jackson to see if there was, and he was kind of limping around at the end of that game when he was just handing the ball off because they were down by so many points. So I think it's a real injury here, which is unfortunate because Lamar's just not scrambling, no quarterback design stuff from him really right now, and then he's just straight up missing throws. And I would say Lamar Jackson's like pretty dang accurate, and since he's come back from injury, he's just like blatantly just missing throws. And I think that he's also like turning down some throws over the middle that I think that he was hitting last year at like a completely bonkers level. We're just not seeing that. So I think the offensive line's to blame. They're in a little bit more difficult situations because their success rate on the ground is like very average right now, and that used to be elite. So I'm not sure how this one's going to get kind of squared away. The Steelers defense isn't all that threatening though. In general to me.
Love all that. I mean, I was looking in the pick'em lobby. Lamar Jackson, if you combine his passing yards, his rushing yards, that is 244.5 as the higher or lower. I mean, just 25.5 rushing yards.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
when was the last time?
I mean, he hasn't hit that in a while, but at some point you have to think that like they have to like double down and see if he can if he can squeeze some more out of it. The big note for the Steelers defense: Derek Harmon, the first round defensive tackle, who I think has been playing pretty well, like more powerful than I thought he would be. He's out with a knee injury right now.
You know what? I'm going to take the higher on that. I mean, he even hit it last week, 27 rushing yards. He hit it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, this was November 9th. But that was Minnesota at 36. Now it was down between the Jets and the Cleveland Browns. But the Steelers are also one of the most like hot and cold defenses across the league.
Agree.
Too. You know, like if TJ Watt doesn't get home and, his one move does not work. I know Alex Highsmith has been quite good this year when he's been in. I'm going to take the higher on 25.5 rushing yards.
Yeah. There was some really weird stuff about that Ravens game last time. They were actually moving the ball. I think Lamar had like a crazy yards per attempt and stuff. It was just like the Isaiah Likely fumble, another fumble there, and then an offensive pass interference, and then a couple penalties, and then like the game was completely over. So hopefully that was their playoff game. And then we, like what you keep saying is once we get to the playoffs, they play like the regular season Ravens.
Look, I'm going to keep saying it because it can't come back to bite me until the playoffs. And hopefully I will be on paternity leave and I don't have to answer to those if it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Don't worry. I'll be grilling you.
You can be my
solo
shield
stream
for that. If you want to join me on the 25.5 higher rushing yards here for Lamar Jackson, the best way to do that is to play an underdog. We're in over 40 states right now, including 20 plus. If you want to take sides and totals and lines and everything of the sort. Those are prediction markets: Texas, Georgia, California, Florida. Some of the most beautiful states in the land. Use promo code The Show. Click the link in the description down below. If you play $5 right now, the first time, we'll throw $75 of bonus cash in your direction. So this weekend, go and play on Underdog. Next, you have Jayden Daniels in his return. We've been trying to read between the lines of if he plays, if he doesn't. He's been practicing for most of the week on a limited / questionable capacity. He will play at some point this season. This is just what football players do. They return to lineups when they are healthy enough. But facing Brian Flores in your return, not the best.
No, I mean right now the Vikings are on their own, like completely end of the scatter plot when in terms of what type of defense they're running right now. They're blitzing at like 44% of dropbacks. That's insane. Now, we talked about this with Jayden Daniels as a rookie. You can't blitz him. And like teams by the end of the season when Jayden Daniels was absolutely rolling, they stopped blitzing because like Brian Branch would come off with like a nickel blitz and he would just escape out the other side for a 30-yard run. So we'll see what the Vikings are going to do. I think they're probably just going to double down with it and continue to blitz. And we'll see that if Jayden Daniels is truly healthy. He has been a full participant in practice, and he's not even wearing a big elbow brace right now. We'll see if he wears that. But it's his non-throwing shoulder, and if he's cleared for contact, he doesn't throw the ball with his left hand. So I'm kind of guessing he's just going to be back to normal. Now, the Vikings are a good defense. The team total is still like under 21 points. But his offensive line's healthy. Terry McLaurin was balling last week. Debo's healthy. They're pretty much ready to go. So like this might be one of these things where like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, there's that. Remember the Commanders team that was just dominant? What if like we get that back like right away?
Okay, we'll move on. Because Jacoby Brissett is your quarterback 7 this week. This is against the Los Angeles Rams. Brissett just averaging a league high 49 dropbacks with 43 passes per game. I mean, it gets to at some point too big to fail when that guy is also targeting the intermediate and downfield portions relentlessly.
Yeah. 68% neutral pass rate, by far the highest of the month with Jacoby Brissett. It's just an automatic. And especially in this week, because they're probably not going to be able to run on the Rams. Very few teams have been able to. And then I just don't think that the Cardinals defense is going to stop Matthew Stafford. So it's going to be the same game script where they're going to have to drop back a million times. Jacoby Brissett, if you're only looking at fantasy points per start, Jacoby Brissett's a quarterback for this year. It's Allen, Mahomes, Jackson Dart, Jacoby Brissett, then Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. So we have to take him serious, whether Marvin Harrison Jr. plays or not. I think that Trey McBride, Michael Wilson is honestly quite enough to do the fourth quarter stuff that Jacoby's been doing.
I mean, the rest of the league is running the football and playing really good defense. And the Cardinals are like, let's
go for it
50 times.
Let's go for it. And then also mentioned 2 injuries for the Rams secondary and now 2 corners / safeties. They're out.
Yep. And it's by the second series this basically happens.
Yes.
It could be easily as Matthew Stafford gets the football touchdown drive because, their first series scores are quite high. And maybe, the Cardinals have a turnover on their second series and you're down 10-14 and then it's off to the races.
Yes. You want that first quarter interception from Jacoby.
If you are anything like me, you wait until the last minute to get certain people in your family gifts. It can be extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins, even sometimes parents, grandparents. I have the perfect one for all of you. Yes. Bang. It's the Aura Carver Mat frame. The cool thing about Aura is everything's online. You can just straight upload from your phone pictures into this frame. One, your parents, grandparents, whatever, will not annoy you any longer to say, hey, send me a photo of your child, my grandchild, so on and so forth. And 2, I mean, you can even look at this. Take off this slide. It's already set up perfectly to just be wrapped. It looks nice. It has free unlimited photo storage. Again, as soon as you take a photo of, let's say, your kid's soccer game or, man, they take their first steps, boom, upload to your Aura frame and they see it instantly from their living room. It's going to turn to like their favorite activity just to see the new photos every single morning. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Mat frames, named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code THESHOW at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code THESHOW. This deal is exclusive to listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Okay, Joe Burrow is next for you. This is on the opposite end of that Buffalo Bills matchup. 49 dropbacks last week. 49. I was stunned to see this, that Burrow has only faced a Sean McDermott-led Bills defense or Bills team twice in his career. Just twice.
Interesting.
Feels like all these, best quarterbacks face off every single season. Maybe it's because of
Yeah.
Burrow injuries and things, but it's not the case here. But in those games, 21 and 22 fantasy points.
Just this one makes me a little bit nervous because Burrow's coming off of the toe injury. There's expected to be some snow, so that makes me just a little bit nervous about how much he's going to be able to drive and move around. Now, I thought his tape last week was excellent. He was throwing the ball down the sideline, big out routes, big go balls, and he was surgical with them. So I know he can do it. It just makes me nervous because most teams are like not even bothering passing the ball against the Buffalo Bills because their ground game has been so pathetic. And we talked about it. The Bengals offensive line and Chase Brown, they're actually much better moving the ball this year on the ground than they ever have been before. So I do wonder if we're going to get like fewer pass attempts than we typically see from a Joe Burrow team out there. And I can see both teams just like running the ball a little bit more, and this game ending up not as like high scoring as you'd think between just Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. But come back for Sunday morning when we have like the full weather report, because Lake Erie, it gets crazy out there.
Yeah, we have that start sit show on Sunday mornings around 11 Eastern. So as always, tune into that, especially this time of year with all the weather. There are some notable splits here with Joey Bosa for the Buffalo Bills defense on and off the field. He's expected to not play in this game. On those dropbacks without Bosa, 68% completion rate and 8.1 yards per attempt. So that's 27th and 31st in the league.
Yeah, you can feel it. There's a reason why they went after him.
Baker Mayfield is next for you. This is against the New Orleans Saints. I mean, this team projected for nearly 25 points. The Saints for less than 17 points on the week. You would think a crisp Baker Mayfield, which we have not seen in the last few weeks, should shred this defense.
Yeah, the couple injuries to note here. Tristan Wirfs has not practiced with an oblique injury, so we know the splits on off with and without Tristan Wirfs, like an all-pro caliber left tackle. So we have to make sure that he's going to be in the lineup. Then Mike Evans has been limited in practice. We'll see if he suits up. Obviously, those are the two of the most important players on the team. So we'll learn more about that. He just hasn't been as good recently. He just misses. He's missing more throws than he typically has. Now that happens with Baker Mayfield because he throws the ball over the middle and down the field. And guess what? Like, those are usually effective plays, but you can run hot and cold if you're throwing the ball down the field that much. I think Bucky Irving being back is going to help the ground game because that was kind of up and down over the course of the season. But hopefully they get a little bit healthy here down the stretch. It was good to see Chris Godwin actually like opening up his gate and running. Now it'd be nice if he catches the ball in the end zone, but they got things to work on.
Bo Nix up next, your quarterback 10. This is at the Las Vegas Raiders. Bo Nix certainly has not been like, I remember back in fantasy draft season, we had like the top 4 or 5 names, and then like just the given quarterback 6 was Bo Nix, but it was like this huge chunk of guys that you could pick across and not know who it was, but based on his rushing performances last year, Bo Nix was up there. We haven't gotten those same numbers this year, even close to it.
No, yeah, it's not as much rushing out of Bo Nix, and he did not take like the second year leap that he kind of needed to. Now they're getting like maybe some clearer answers here. He's still really like hit and miss after the play breaks down. Like, we had that one awesome touchdown throw to Sutton, but then other times those are like interceptions and stuff. So there's like this kind of out of rhythm nature of the Broncos offense that we just have to continue to expect to be how they're going to operate. Now, the Raiders defense is terrible. They play a lot of zone coverage. They're not even very good at it. And Max Crosby went limited and then to, I believe, DNP. So we'll see. He like never misses time ever, but who knows? That would be substantial because they have like nobody else.
Yeah, maybe they let him go like on a vacation for a day.
That'd be nice.
He deserves it. They play a ton of single high, and Sean Payton will know what type of coverage this is. And in those situations, we see some downfield shots for this team too. It's scripted. Like, you'll see screen, fake screen, over the top, big potential shot play.
Yes. Yeah. They got to hit him.
Jordan Love, your quarterback 11. This is against the Chicago Bears defense. The Bears must create turnovers against this team, which, by the way, the Packers offense has only turned the ball over 7 times all season long, because when the Bears do not turn the football over, they are 29th in a lot of the metrics out there defensively. And they also haven't faced that many good quarterbacks. Reeves noted this in the worksheet. Since week 7, they faced Spencer Rattler, Tyler Huntley, Joe Flacco, Jackson Dart, JJ McCarthy, Mason Rudolph, and Jalen Hurts. So I think Jordan Love's on a different level than a lot of those guys.
Yeah, completely different level. I think he's playing excellent football. His accuracy has improved over the years. He's still as aggressive as he typically is. And then Christian Watson is just dunking on dudes down the field. Wanted to mention that Christian Watson touchdown, that was like a kind of lined up like in the slot, ran like an out route, and then went up the field. What you'll notice from the Packers is a lot of throws, not over the middle, without like since we lost Tucker Kraft, like everything's these are huge like corner routes and huge out routes, which is super impressive. Like that just shows how valuable Jordan Love is, because you just don't really see that from many other offenses. But that's going to put a lot of pressure on Tyreek Stevenson and Jalen Johnson, who are just getting back from injury. Tyreek Stevenson is not practicing this week, where Jalen Johnson just returned this last week. So I think like these downfield shots, if they hit them in Green Bay, the game's over. Like you're not beating the Packers when they've hit these downfield out routes, and they have been recently.
Daniel Jones, just like other games, I mean, this one in this division is pretty important here for the Indianapolis Colts based on their trend over the last few games, some losses, and then their schedule the rest of the way. Despite being on the road in Jacksonville, they are still 1.5 point favorites in this game. So the books absolutely love the Colts in this spot. They have not faced the Jaguars at this point this season. They do face them twice in the final 5 games. So Daniel Jones, despite his heater, has scored 14 to 17 fantasy points in 4 straight games. That is not the top 12 quarterback stuff we saw early this season.
It hasn't been. He had some quarterback sneaks early on. He was able to run, pick up some crucial first downs at times, and we just have not seen that since he, broke his leg. So I think he was moving around the pocket fine enough to deliver the football down the field, and he still made some amazing plays, but you need a little bit of out of structure creation. We saw him like slide out of pockets and then throw the ball down the field early in the season. It's just a little bit harder to do right now. Trayvon Walker, I believe he's going to return here. It would make sense for him. It's a very important game for him to return. Teams have like definitely stopped trying to run the ball against Trayvon Walker in Jacksonville. Like everything's through the air. That's what every single team is going up against Jacksonville. So and the Colts have kind of been willing to just like pass the ball more than you would think, even though they have Jonathan Taylor. So I think we're going to see plenty of pass attempts in this one. There might be some rain, so check back on Sunday morning as well.
Yeah, this is a true throw to lead, run to win. They haven't been running well in the second half of these games recently.
Agreed.
Again, rushing against the Jaguars is difficult. It's why my favorite pick of the week, Jonathan Taylor, higher 17.5 receiving yards. On like a per game basis, he's near career highs in receiving work this season. Okay, let's move on, because on the opposite end is Trevor Lawrence. Next man up. Colts struggled to get off the field last week on third downs. Also, if you just want to add up total snaps played on defense, the Colts 71 and 91 snaps over the last 2 games. And we know no DeForest Buckner, big injury for him. And then Sauce Gardner went down with that calf issue last week too.
Yeah, big time injuries. This defense is kind of like the Texans, where it's just like line up, we got better dudes than you, and then on occasion you'll have a little change up from Lou Anarumo, but right now there's like running out of horses defensively. So at the same time, Jacksonville's offensive line has been very hit and miss. I don't think that Walker Little has practiced yet with a concussion, so that's a left tackle there. Their interior has been very up and down this year, so we'll see. The Jaguars offense feels a lot better now because they can throw the ball over the middle reliably, and that's exactly what Liam Cohen wants to do. So I think the Jacoby Myers and Brendan Strange additions recently, you felt that plenty. And then hopefully Trevor Lawrence can throw the ball over the top. Trevor Lawrence is so frustrating to me because 8 out of 10 plays, like I see it, and then like the 2 other plays are just so disastrous that's like hard to grade him. So he can get really hot though against a defense like this if he's just like throwing the ball over the middle and he's on time, and just hopefully he doesn't have that back-breaking interception over the middle, which he's like kind of been doing for a lot of his career.
Do you think that Lou Anarumo is one of these types of defense coordinators with, dropping 8 or having exotic blitzes from here or there to force Trevor Lawrence into more of those 2 out of 10 plays that make them like 4 out of 10?
Yeah, and I would wonder if Lou Anarumo's going to have to do that more because he doesn't have Buckner and Sauce Gardner, where like at that point you're just like, all right, we got better dudes than you, but now you might be like, all right, we're doing something crazy. So maybe he disguises his things a little bit more this time around.
Kenny Moore versus Jacoby Myers is
That's
fun 1-to-1 matchup. Sam Darnold, quarterback 14. This is against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, the Seahawks have been flat out destroying bad teams this season. A lot of it is their defense, getting pick sixes, fumble sixes against lesser quarterbacks out there. Atlanta, though, is blitzing 37% of the time, second in the league. I know that they spent 2 first-round picks on edge rushers, but Ulbrich is still sending even more heat up front. And Darnold this season, according to Rich Bar's worksheet, a 5.2 interception rate against the blitz, that's 31st, and only a 5.2 touchdown rate, which is 23rd in the league.
So the scatter plot is blitz rate and then disguise coverage rate. And the Falcons are kind of sandwiched between Brian Flores, Todd Bowles, and Steve Spagnuolo. So like you're getting some wonky stuff from Atlanta this season. They've just been way, way, way better against the pass than the run. Now, for Sam Darnold, the Seahawks are third in projected points this week. It's the Bills, it's the Rams, and then it's Seattle. They're projected for 26 points. You're in Atlanta, so there's no weather for him. He can throw the ball down the field. And Atlanta, they'll leave their guys kind of on islands a little bit. And for the most part, they've been pretty effective at stopping it. But Sam Darnold's been unconscious throwing the ball down the field. So I think it's like a decent spot for him. You're not going to get as much rushing stuff. I have a pretty aggressive ranking on Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker if you haven't watched the running back rankings video, because I think that's typically how you're going to beat Atlanta. But I can see this to be a Sam Darnold game where he kind of throws the ball down the field for a couple long touchdowns.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, if you're second in the league in blitz rate, that means you're also second in the league when it comes to running single high safeties. So yeah, it's like we got to get home. We got to get pressure. We got to make Sam feel this. If we don't, though, we are susceptible to these downfield passes. That's for sure. I mean, I don't want to be the guy, but Rashid Shaheed, 14.5 longest reception, might be speaking to me this week.
He knows this defense better than everyone else. He's in the division.
I mean, especially if Jesse Bates is shading in the direction of JSN, then on the opposite end, that's not going to be Cooper Kupp running 20 plus yards on the field.
No, I would hope not, at least. And that is something we have to keep tracking. Last week, I thought Flores did an excellent job of shading to JSN's side, and I don't think that was a coincidence. That was JSN's slowest game of the season. So I think that's what defenses should be doing.
All right. I'll be contemplating that Rashid Shaheed number as we go.
I like it.
Caleb Williams, quarterback 15. This is at the Green Bay Packers. I cannot wait for this offensive versus defensive matchup. We already talked about the running backs, and that's really going to be the number one thing. And I mean, Ben Johnson even told us that, hey, our passing attack is behind our rushing attack. But what I really want to note is Caleb escaping these crazy sacks each week. We saw TJ Watt bring him down for that sack fumble 6 in the end zone a couple weeks ago. Micah Parsons can do the exact same thing. Like Micah Parsons can get home or feed it into Rashawn Gary and these guys. But one, they have to find like the offensive lineman that they want to prioritize. Maybe it's Ozzie Trapillo making one of his handful of sacks, a second round pick at left tackle. That could be him. But also we've seen this Bears offense and Ben Johnson have like a pass pro plan versus these interesting defenses. We saw it against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously they blitz more, but that was a ton of 13 and 3 personnel, multiple tight end looks, which then minimizes how many true pass catchers you can have out there. But at the same time, this Packers defense also must stop the run first in order to get into those pure passing situations.
And recently they haven't been very good stopping the run, and offenses facing the Packers have the highest neutral run rate in the NFL this month. At like 32% of the time they're passing the ball, the rest of the time they're running it. So I think that you're going to have a very balanced game plan from Ben Johnson here. On top of that, Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle for the Packers, he's been ruled out. We'll see if Lucas Van Ness, he hasn't practiced with a foot injury, if he's going to go. And then Javon Bullard, safety, he hasn't practiced this week as well. So there's potentially some substantial injuries for the Packers defense here. It's going to be a lot of zone coverage and then letting Micah Parsons go crazy up front. They'll move him around, see where they can find the best mismatches for him. But Ben Johnson, he's got this thing going. I'm going to guess it's going to be a lot more runs in this one. It's going to be freezing, I'm sure, in Green Bay. So I think probably a very conservative game plan, then hopefully Caleb Williams avoids the turnover, and then hopefully eventually they'll get these guys kind of on the same page, because they really struggled against zone coverage as a rookie. Like Rome Odunze and Caleb were just so bad at it. They're going to have to show some like real improvement if they're going to have like a big game through the air here.
The books are skeptical. The markets are
Yes.
skeptical. 19 projected points here for the Chicago Bears. When pressured, Caleb Williams has completed league low 37% of his passes, 4.6 yards per attempt, 31st now. We know also when he's pressured and he escaped those sacks, he has some of the most athletic scrambles you will see. He has jets to the sideline. Again, number one, Packers force him into those pure dropback situations. And also, like, Bears pre-snap penalties have kind of gone away. They were a massive talking point in the opening part of the season that forced them to like 3rd and 12s instead of 3rd and 7s. And then, you got to get home. But I still am of the belief that Caleb actually sees the field really well and is making good decisions. It's the placement of the football that has been the issue. So at some point, if the placement of the football in first halves, notably, is no longer an issue, then we're really going to see some flying stuff here for the Bears.
Yeah.
Flying Bears.
Yes. Yeah. Which would be terrifying.
Justin Herbert, quarterback 16 against the Philadelphia Eagles. I believe I read that Herbert did not scramble or have a design run after he broke his hand last week. I think in order for this team to win this week, he will have to run the football against the Philadelphia Eagles in some form or fashion.
When he would be falling, he would like fall with his like hand like this. So he was going through it. He had the surgery. He's going to play most likely. I'm not sure if they have a plan for Jalen Phillips and Jordan Davis. They are beyond lucky that Jalen Carter got surgeries on both of his shoulders, because he was going to end the game. Now, the Chargers are still projected for very few points. We don't know if Amari Hampton's going to play yet. He's been wearing a non-contact jersey in practice, so still waiting for him to like get fully cleared. And everything's just kind of been more dink and dunk. Like, you haven't felt Quentin Johnson nearly as much over the last month. I don't think that's a coincidence, just because you have Joe Alt on the sidelines. Keenan Allen, I saw a crazy stat about Keenan Allen on third downs. He's got like one of the best first down rates on third down targets like ever. He's just been automatic. I think it's going to be those type of matchups, like Loudon McConkey versus Cooper DeJean. Like, Loudon McConkey's got to be better than Cooper DeJean. I view those two guys pretty similarly talent-wise. And like, can Keenan Allen or Quentin Johnson go beat the other corner? Because neither one of those guys are good enough to beat Quinyon Mitchell. You got to attack the other corner. They're not going to be able to run the ball in Jordan Davis, most likely. So we'll see. I don't have a whole lot of confidence here, but Justin Herbert's going to have to make some big boy throws.
Yeah, and it's one of those where we saw the worst of the Eagles' defensive line last week, and maybe some of it was because Jalen Carter was dealing with these multiple shoulder issues, which was a procedure but not a surgery. It was a procedure but not a surgery.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, who knows what? Like, it's so complicated now. Like, this is why we live so long. It's because we don't even know what we're injecting into our bodies, but it works.
Maybe he just went to the immortal chamber and everything
that would be nice.
Has been fixed.
That would be nice.
So we saw the worst of it last week, but at the same time, we've also seen the worst of the Chargers' offensive line in some instances where they just get overpowered. Like, it was against the Jaguars, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
that they could not move the line of scrimmage at all.
It's over.
So I think the Eagles aren't as bad defensive line wise for the rest of the season and before last week than they showed last week.
Yes,
but I am nervous about this Chargers offensive line just overall being in this category, and like above average to good to great teams can take advantage of that. Yeah,
I think it's going to be an overwhelming game for the Chargers on the side of the ball, and hopefully they like get enough Keenan Allen and Loudon McConkey third down conversions. Maybe Quentin Johnson can beat Adoree Jackson or whoever they're going to start at cornerback 2 down the field. But other than that, I don't like their chances.
I mean, it is notable with all of these weapons that the Chargers have in a dome with all the other weather games, the Chargers projected for just 19.5 points. That stands out to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyrod Taylor, a top 17 quarterback. Well, 19. We won't include Thursday Night Football, guys. Against the Miami Dolphins here. Tyrod, Adonai Mitchell, maybe over the last 5 games of the season, one of the best connections in the NFL.
It's certainly on out routes. This is like why they put Tyrod Taylor in there, so they can throw the ball and see what they got from their new weapons, and Adonai Mitchell and John Mechie and then Mason Taylor. So I think it'll be a pretty balanced game plan. Did want to note, we always talk about the Dolphins and how much better their defense has been. that chart, they're blitzing at the third highest rate in the NFL, and they're also top 10 in how much they're disguising their coverages, which is exactly what we saw with this DC when he was in Baltimore, when they would play like literally every single coverage at a very, very, very high level. We're starting to see that in Miami, even without a bunch of talents. Like, this is why like Dolphins ownership is saying like, hey, we think we got these right coaches. Like, we love McDaniels on the offensive side, and then on the defensive side, they're doing a lot of funky stuff without a bunch of talent. Like, obviously, they're giving away some of their starters on top of that. So just like shout out to this Dolphins team for like being very respectable. And obviously Tyrod's seen every single coverage out there. It just comes up to like how much are they going to be able to protect up front, but they got a good offensive line.
Okay, CJ Stroud up next against the Kansas City Chiefs defense, one that has really struggled this season when trying to blitz. Can CJ Stroud take advantage of that? We do look at the team totals here. Again, the markets are predicting no, just 19 points in this game.
Yeah. So with Stroud, he's been playing better. He's making more plays out of structure. And going back to when the Texans played the Chiefs in the playoffs last year, that was kind of when he went back to that college football playoff run where all of a sudden CJ Stroud was like running, which was super effective. He's starting to do that a little bit more this year. They're passing the ball a little bit more this year, and we'll see what Steve Spagnuolo wants to do. Obviously, Chris Jones versus this interior offensive line makes me extremely nervous. But like you said, I forget, there's another player they were talking about where defensive lineman is able to get pressure, but there's nobody else at the edge rushers like to swarm. You kind of escape out of the pocket. The Chiefs have not had that second edge rusher to kind of combat with Chris Jones, and the blitzes aren't getting home. So that's why the Chiefs defense is only average this year. Blitzes aren't as good. Edge rushers have not stepped up. I think Chris Jones is like just as good as ever, but more downfield passes. I think they're just doing like more quick hitting zone stuff with the Jaden Higgins types. That's like provided a floor for this offense that we have not felt for a while. So I feel like decent about this. Also just being realistic that you're in Kansas City on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, we always talk about Mahomes scrambling in high leverage games. CJ Stroud this week, again, on the road against the Chiefs. This is Sunday Night Football. 12.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, he can do it. He can do it. Like, he's athletic enough to do it. He's just like chosen not to, but I do think it's a good time. You read out the blitz, you escape out the back end. Good stuff.
Okay, that's promo code the show. Click the link in the description. Play $5 your first time. Send $75 of bonus cash in your direction. Let's talk about one of your favorite players in the league. This is Tyler Shough at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Todd Bowles usually confuses rookie quarterbacks. I don't know if there's a caveat of a 26-year-old rookie quarterback.
True.
If he beats that, I will say they did face each other in Tyler Shough's first start in his career. And Tyler Shough went 17 of 30 for 128 yards and an interception. And that was also when they were at home. And this one's on the road in Tampa.
Yep. Tampa, as usual, they're still top 5 in blitz rate. Yeah, obviously you're playing Todd Bowles on the road. It's like you're starting there and you have a terrible offensive line. So like Tyler Shough's been making some plays out of structure, that's like the reason why I'm like leaving the light on with him is he's showing a little bit more creativity in the pros. And I know he's always been able to spin the football. It's just like the panic moments versus creativity. And I'm seeing more on that scale. Now, like we have to be very realistic about who he's throwing the ball to, the offensive line he has, and then the matchup. So don't have like a lot of expectations, nor should we.
Yeah. Against the blitz or with or without pressure. So just like if the defense sends someone, this again from the worksheet, Tyler Shough has completed 47% of his passes, which is 31st in the league since week 8, since he took over as a starter. So yeah, this is a nice game to show growth. You know, your first start versus your 7th start, your 6th start at this point. So we'll see what it is. Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback 20. Maybe a shocking stat for people. Tua has thrown for 205 yards or less in 9 of 12 games this season. And he's attempted more than 26 passes just once over his past 6 games. So McDaniel kind of on this hot streak has been, hey, Devon Achane, you're our offense. And let's not have Tua throw the football as often. And we saw that with the absolute duck that he threw right after a Tyler Shough turnover last week.
Yeah, he's been doing that more often. He's still not able to move around. I just think that Tua's like accuracy has just not been as good as it was when he was like the most dialed in a couple of years ago. But like you said, the Dolphins right now are 29th in neutral pass rate this month. Like that's sandwiched like right next to the Panthers and then the Giants, the Browns, and the Jets. So it's just been a totally different structured offense. That's why the past numbers have felt worse for Jalen Waddle recently and a lot worse for Tua. So they have at least like some building blocks here. Like Darren Waller being back is good for them. Jalen Waddle's still very good. Brewer and their left tackle, Patrick Paul, like they have at least like some building blocks, but the lack of depth, I do think you're going to start feeling that in December games.
Okay, we'll move on. JJ McCarthy, we're already in this section of the conversation, is the quarterback 21 against the Washington Commanders. I mean, Hayden, if there was a game, and there are a few left here on the schedule for JJ McCarthy to maybe leave a conversation for the summer. I mean, it already actually seems like there is. Just what level conversation this summer, I think, is an interesting one. 22 projected team total as 1.5 point home favorites against the Washington Commanders secondary. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, you almost talked about the formula. You're at home. The team total is about league average. You're playing the terrible defense and stuff. So, like, that's where I'm breaking some ties in favor of JJ McCarthy. But he's been very bad. Everyone knows it. I just think the Commanders' defense is just, it's so vanilla and so just bad. Like, and Bobby Wagner's dealing with an injury now. He's like barely practicing. So now we're like getting to that part of the season where like the older players are like barely practicing. Yeah.
And now this coaching staff is catching strays, by the way, of like, oh yeah, let's blame, Kevin O'Connell, which a team might give up a first round pick to make him as head coach.
Yeah.
Of course.
Like, of course.
What? I mean, that's just crazy. Anyways.
It is wild. It is wild. We'll say this about JJ McCarthy. It's still a very aggressive offense and he can scramble a little bit. So I do think there will be a game where he kind of just like has a game and then everyone's like, oh, see, like you wrote off JJ McCarthy so early. Like he's capable. He is capable of having one of these games. It's the nature of the offense. If Nick Mullins could have 400 fucking yards, JJ McCarthy can do it eventually. I think that the bottom has fallen out in terms of how much we can trust them. But I do think that there is enough here at home where he can at least be started in super flex leagues.
Aaron Rodgers. It's over. I mean, it's over.
It's
so he can't move. He doesn't want to move. Last season, I kept bringing up that he killed plays because he just did not want to read them out of fear of throwing the football, of being hit when throwing the football down the field. Literally, the play that he was willing to hold the football last week, he holds it for 4 seconds, tries to be like a running back going through the second and third level in the pocket, and just gets clobbered from behind. And now you face the Baltimore Ravens defense, which has had their best moments over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, they just like don't throw the ball over the middle and they're all yards after the catch. It's like yards after the catch underneath into the outside. It's just like, it's just not how you win football games, So I have a lot of fears in this one, especially against this one where you have Kyle Hamilton to chase down these guys. Like your entire thing is about yards after the catch. And then now you have like the Baltimore Ravens secondary, which knows how to tackle and track things down. So yeah, I just don't see how we're going to squeeze anything valuable out of this offense. Really, like DK Metcalf's really fast and he had that 1 yards after the catch, 80-yard touchdown. But aside from that, it's just, you're really not getting a whole lot unless if these tight ends like decide to truck everybody. But I just don't see that happening in Baltimore here. It's crazy that how bad the Ravens have been, like we are giving the Steelers no chance of making the playoffs here, which is the state of the Steelers. Right now. Yeah.
Well, Kirk Cousins, does he have any chance against the Seattle defense? I mean, this is a total nightmare for Kirk, who was getting paid handsomely. But, just one of your first starts of the season, buddy. Go up against Mike McDonald and this just obliteration unit of a defensive line. Leonard Williams in your face, DeMarcus Lawrence in your face, Byron Murphy in your face. And if you're throwing the football while getting hit, someone's going to pick it off and take it the opposite direction. I mean, he struggles to move, his arm dies, and he has Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts to throw the football to.
Other than that, it's looking good for Kirko. I wrote about this. We have a newsletter with the Underdog NFL news team, so might be hitting your guys' email accounts. And I was just talking about some of the matchups. And one of the matchups I found was Bijan Robinson against the Seahawks, and everybody against Seattle is trying to use the running backs more. That makes a lot of sense because the Seahawks play a lot of zone coverage. Zone is when you see more running back targets and fewer wide receiver targets. And I'm expecting them just like try to live underneath and get the ball out quickly, and it won't work. It absolutely will not work whatsoever.
Enough said. Geno Smith against the Denver Broncos. Will this one work?
No. I mean,
16.5 point projected total here. 16.5.
Yeah, what the Broncos will do with Surtain is they'll just live in man coverage and be like, all right, you got the horses to beat us or not? And I'm looking around for Raiders horses, and I don't see many. Just want to keep reiterating, just for like the Brock Bowers stuff, teams are just viewing him as a wide receiver, like straight up more and more. I'm curious to see what like Vance Joseph is going to do, especially if you play a lot of man coverage. Like I would be curious to see if we should like see Surtain versus Brock Bowers in some of these like 3-by-1 looks. So yeah, it's like Trey Tucker, entire Lockett. Can you beat man coverage against the Broncos? Like, I don't think so. And then on top of that, the offensive line it's obviously a coaching problem, but at the same time, how many just like straight up bull rushes are you seeing with the Raiders where there's like line up on their back? So you can only do so much about that.
Well, let's close with a much anticipated rookie performance in the quarterback section. Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward here, with Shedeur first and Cam Ward last. Here's my note, Hayden. I like the Browns to cover the 4-point home favorites here. I mean, the Titans coaching and roster is just totally miserable. We've seen the Browns, even if it's not successful against Jeffrey Simmons and company, still run directly at it. And all we need is Shedeur to make like 2 or 3 throws to hit the 18.75 point projection here for the Browns. And also, you're going to get some defensive turnovers or sacks or short fields and special teams things. So I really, really like the Browns to cover here.
There's some weather in Cleveland, as usual, once we get to December here.
Great.
Cam Ward, by the way, 9-inch hands, kind of tiny. So we'll see about that. This will be like the first good narrative for the tiny hands Cam Ward. I think it's like bottom 8th percentile for Cam Ward. So good luck. You get Myles Garrett and everybody on that side of the ball. And then the Browns offense right now is like doing everything they can to hide Shedeur Sanders for a reason. They run the ball. They throw a lot of screens. And aside from that, once you remove the screens, he completes 42% of his passes. So I'm not expecting a whole lot here. I wish I could be really excited about like a rookie quarterback matchup, but Cam Ward, this is like a burn the tape.
So you're not going to draft this one to
this one might be AI
Sunday Night Show?
No, this one we might turn to Gemini to recap.
Just on the Cam Ward front, I just actually want to talk about Myles Garrett here. The NFL sack record is 22.5. I mean, Michael Strahan did that when we had 16 game seasons. I mean, Myles Garrett could do it in week 14.
Like where is he at right now? Yeah,
he's at 19.
Yeah, the way Cam Ward plays, he'll hold on that football and kind of drift a little bit.
He does not scramble enough, and he likes to drift. He holds on to it for way too long. I'm expecting at least 2 sacks here for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it would be an awesome call if like he breaks the record this week. You do 4 in a game to break the record. Yeah, I mean that'd be sweet.
That'd be sweet. And if not, he's got plenty of way to go.
He's gonna do it. It really just depends like how much is he gonna beat the record by.
I mean, again, it's a team that has 3 wins on the season. Doing that on a team that has 3 wins is really notable. It's calling your own shot of, hey, I don't want an edge rusher opposite me. I want a defensive tackle next to me. And then that's just gonna allow my life to be a lot easier. So good on Myles Garrett, man.
Yeah. Good luck, Cam Ward. I feel bad for you.
Okay, let's talk about tight ends and then close this thing out. Your, let's say, top 4 are a given here in Trey McBride, Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers, Travis Kelce. Anything you want to add about that group?
Just pick 2 guys out for like DFS purposes, pick 'em stuff. Tyler Warren. It's been like not quite as clean recently, but Jacksonville's second worst against fantasy tight ends. They're a pass funnel defense in general, and their linebacker safety play has been up and down. And I think even one of their safeties is out with a concussion. So I like the Tyler Warren matchup this week, especially if Daniel Jones is not going to be like running around as much. You probably third year tight ends a little bit. And then secondly, with Travis Kelce, the Texans are so good at corner and they're so good at edge rusher that I think that they're going to have to throw the ball out quickly. Last year, Kelce had 7 for 117 and a touchdown on just 8 targets. So I think it's a good matchup. If the Chiefs have a chance to pull this one off, I would be pretty surprised if it's not a heavy dosage of Travis Kelce with Rashee Rice.
And then to close up this top tier, Brenton Strange, we've talked about his impact. I mean, in 3 of 6 games, he's been the team's leading receiver. That could happen this week against the Indianapolis Colts, working over the middle of the field. He is imperative to their team. And then Mark Andrews just got a 3-year extension. Bit surprising, but he is their entire red zone offense in terms of receiving game.
I mean, 3 years, he's what, 30 right now? And it's been an up and down, last couple months here. Now he's like their entire red zone offense right now. So like for that, I get it. But 3 years is a bigger commitment than I was expecting here.
I haven't seen the full details on it, so who knows if there's funny money or anything like that.
Definitely will be.
It's notable anyways. Okay, you do have Don Kincaid as your tight end 7.
We'll see.
What's like your percentage level of him even playing in this game?
Yeah, I have no idea. I need to see a full practice for him to remain this high. He's so awesome for the offense, and you get the Bengals, like the Bengals are, horrific stopping players like Dalton Kincaid. So if he's out there, I would be very tempted to play him. Like it's the best matchup, and the team projected for the most points. Like even coming off an injury, he's gonna play 50% of the snaps. Like it gets pretty tough afterwards.
Juwan Johnson, Dalton Schultz. I talked about Kyle Pitts last week. Got maybe the most gimmies he's ever seen as an Atlanta Falcons. There were designed tunnel screens for him lining up at wide receiver. There was legit check down stuff, other manufactured touches. He's like a floor play to me.
Yes.
I don't know how much of a floor you can have when you face the Seattle Seahawks and all their linebackers and everyone and safeties. And he might even see Nick Emenwari as well.
Definitely will.
So I'm not as excited about Kyle Pitts based on the matchup as maybe I should have been after watching the tape.
Yeah, Seahawks have allowed the 3rd most yards to tight ends this year, but I'm going to come out and say, I just don't think that's just going to remain true the rest of the way here. So we'll see. I did want to quickly mention Dalton Schultz, who we may have not talked about him the entire season. I'm not saying that we're wrong for doing that, but I think he deserves a quick shout out here. Since the bye week, there's been 7 games. He's got tight end 8 usage in those 7 games. This month, he's the tight end 5 in usage. In the last 5 games, he's had at least 7 expected half PPR points. Like that's a floor that we do not really see at this position. Like I'm not going to sell you on some crazy Dalton Schultz ceiling, but like he's at 40 yards in the pick'em lobby, which is a lot more than a lot of the guys that are currently rostered. So I have Dalton Schultz as somebody that you could like pick up and start over some of the other options that we've kind of been holding on for dear life with.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Darren Waller had a great first quarter, then did nothing last week. Zach Ertz, I bet his expected totals were insane last week.
Yeah, season high, almost 18 expected half PPR points, which is ridiculous.
And then just the last tier, Evan Ingram, the barnyard dog, and AJ Barner, Harold Fannin, Dallas Goedert, Aronde Gadsden, Colson Loveland. Closing thoughts.
I like all these guys like on an individual level, but they're all projected for like 30-ish yards. It's just the nature of the tight end position. I like all those guys. They're interesting dynasty guys, but we have to have better options right now. There's just like really like not that big of a difference from, Mark Andrews down to tight end 18. It really is just from Travis Kelce up, I feel good, and then everyone else it doesn't really matter.
Cool. All right. That does it. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back here on the Sunday morning show, 11 a.m. Eastern, 2 hours leading up until kickoff, roughly. We'll see when we join, but just keep us in mind during that period. Some final start sit answers for all of you, and maybe most importantly, the weather aspects of things. We'll update you on the latest news and all of that. So shout out to Shough and Weaves. Shout out to Hayden for doing the work. Shout out to all of you for watching and continuing to send us your Spotify Wrapped, your YouTube recaps. It's been cool to see the thousands and thousands of minutes everyone watches this show. Yeah, someone watched like 136 episodes this season.
Yeah,
which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's like you spent like 4 days of your year with us. I'm like, all right, time to go outside.
Same. Thanks everyone. Up the Villa. We'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.